So yesterday there was a review that dropped for Hogwarts Legacy. Title review: There's no magic in Hogwarts Legacy. The game is mid at best, and its real-world harms are impossible to ignore. So this has been on the YouTube news for a hot minute. Um, Caught my attention because it seemed like such a. I think the review score. Well, there it is. So the review rating is 1 out of 10. Obviously, there's an axe to grind there, and I just wanted to see how bad it is, and it's pretty bad. So let's go over it. So it's written by Jana Gray at Wire. She writes hardware reviews for the culture segment. There she is, and some of her past articles. So it looks like mostly sex toys, coffee, maybe some computer gear. One story sort of recently about games. 10 great next Xbox Series X/S games you can play now. Anyway, let's get back to the review. Alright, so Wired. So that's I guess like the little pro. It helped me say goodbye to the setting for good. Okay. Tired? The story is rooted in anti-Semitic tropes. Oh goody. I'm dying to find out what that is. The gameplay feels dated. The graphics feel like they're a couple generations behind. All the characters are one dimensional. It doesn't stay true to the established lore. Every character feels like an off brand version of the character we know and love. There's no sense of place, no magic, no heart. Okay, so let's see what we got here. All right, so I'll just start going through it. As I go through it, I want you to pay attention to when she actually starts talking about the details of the game. The answer is it's not for a while. Well, let's get started. Yikes, y'all. I don't even smoke and I feel like I need a cigarette before I get this thing started. We're here to talk about Hogwarts Legacy, and to do that, we need to discuss the whole mess. Pull up a chair, pour yourself some tea, wrap yourself in a blanket, scream into a pillow or the abyss, because this one's going to take a lot out of us. Or this one's going to take a lot out of both of us, or get heavy. Hogwarts Legacy is a third person action RPG set in the same universe as a classic Harry Potter series of children's books. In case you need a refresher, those books, the Wizarding World setting, and the Harry Potter film franchise are all the intellectual property and brainchildren of author J.K. Rowling. This is important because she's always been inseparable from her work and from work that she's inspired and licensed, for better and now mostly for worse. Nothing had a Wizarding World stamp on it can be viewed outside the context of it being a product of Dame J.K. Rowling, CHOBE. One quick comment. So, this is definitely sort of like a, I would say, postmodernist review of the game. So, really, I'm more in the school, sort of like the classical school of you engage the work itself and you don't let the stuff around the work um, affect the review of whatever it is that you're reviewing. But she makes it clear, um, yeah, Jaina makes it clear that she is going to make this mostly, or to a significant amount, about J.K. Rowling herself, um, not related to the game. So that was the second paragraph. Anyway, let's continue. Within the pages of her books, she made the ordinary seem extraordinary. She created a place where weird, lonely kids would be told they were special, where kids who had survived abuse were more than just fundamentally broken. Since 2019, though, the once beloved children's author has, well, she's had some opinions about people like me and whether or not we should exist. She's even gone as far as to suggest that we're inherently dangerous, a threat to real women everywhere. Okay, so it looks like, well, looks like Jaina is trans, and so she is referencing some opinions that J.K. Rowling has had. We're going to come back to it because whatever it is Rowling might have said, and we'll see. Um, her particular characterizations are probably not accurate from what I know, but we'll see. But that was the third paragraph. Let's continue. When I was a kid, every word that flowed from J.K. Rowling's pen wrote magic into my world, but now every word she puts out just hurts my heart. Every homophobic or transphobic thing queer kids hear growing up becomes a voice that follows them for a long time. We hear relatives, friends, and parents saying awful things about us and to us. For a lot of us, we fight those voices every day. When one of those voices come from the author who taught you about accepting yourself, a person you thought truly saw you and kids like you, it hurts in a way I honestly hope she never understands. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. Okay, so a little comment. Um, this is a little bit odd. Okay, so let's backtrack a little bit. We're reviewing a game, but we're talking about J.K. Rowling and in relation to being trans and possibly homosexual. Now, she's widening the net to every homophobic or transphobic thing queer kids hear growing up. That's really broad. And she's basically taking that really broad characterization and associating it with J.K. Rowling when she says, when one of those voices come from the author who taught you about accepting yourself. Okay, so right now, I guess I should say I'm not sure if I'm uh, gendering the author correctly. The name Jaina seems female to me, so I'm gonna assume it's female. But uh, you never know, right? Like anyway, um, let's continue. Fourth paragraph. I don't hate her. It would honestly be easier if I did. Inside me somewhere, there's a kid who still loves her despite everything. That kid has a lot of experience loving people who hurt her. She never asked why. Okay, so that answers the question. She identifies with a gender that has female pronouns, I guess. So, whatever that means. She just wants to know what she did wrong and how she can fix it. It's hard to tell her there's nothing left to fix, and that there are places we can't return to, places like Hogwarts. Unforgivable curses. So, paragraph 5. I remember when the first book came out, the gangly boy on the cover illustration, the school book fair. At that time, it was just another chapter book on the shelves beside the likes of Bunnicula and Goosebumps. I'll be honest, it wasn't a never ending story situation for me. I didn't open the cover and get transported to a magic world of magic and mystery. I liked it, but that was that. It was the third book, The Prisoner of Azkaban, that wrapped its world around me and drew me in. It was the first one that felt dangerous to me. Watching these characters I knew contend with adult level peril, I felt seen. In Harry, I saw my own rough childhood reflected. I shared his frustration with the adult world and that tight knot of anger he couldn't really understand boiling away in his chest. And Ron, I knew that what it was to go to school in hand-me-downs, to worry about money in a way that no child ever should. And I also knew what it was like to be made fun of for being a redhead. And Hermione, I saw my relentless and often annoyingly assertive sense of right and wrong, and how it often got her and me in trouble. After Prisoner of Azkaban, I was in deep. Just a side comment, I haven't read the books. I haven't watched the movie. I tried to watch the movie, a couple of the movies, a couple of times, but it it felt kind of all over the place for me, so I couldn't really get through it. So it's not, for me, it's not really, but that's okay. It's not really about the material itself. I'm just taking a look at the review, the reasons, and if it holds up. Okay, so that was one, two, three, four, five, six, 7 paragraphs, I think. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7. Yeah. Paragraph 8. I avoided press about Hogwarts Legacy when it was first announced. I didn't want to see the gameplay. I didn't want to be awed by trailers. I avoided them like the plague because I was afraid I would be conflicted, that I would see a game that captured the magic of the books and my heart would leap out of my chest. I was afraid to see the lavish visuals of the films recreated on modern gaming hardware realized in 4K and full HDR. I was afraid I would have to tell 12-year-old me that she can play it and explain why. So I got a code for Hogwarts Legacy. I braced myself. Okay, so that's 8 paragraphs so far. Paragraph 9. I thought I'd spend the whole I thought I'd spend a lot of time in this section nitpicking, going over every grievance I have and how this game deviates from the source material, how dated it looks and feels, and how every character just feels like an animatronic Chuck E. Cheese robot waiting for you to come by and put a quarter in, so it can say its one line of dialogue and perform a grim, herky-jerky facsimile of a living thing. But there are no nits to pick, it's just lice all the way down. Uh, okay. Anyway, let's continue. We'll come back to that. The longer I spent in this version of Hogwarts, the more I could feel a tangible absence. There's definitely something missing. I thought maybe it was a lackluster art direction, the one-dimensional characters that feel like store-brand versions of the ones we know and love, or even the conspicuous lack of iconic John Williams score. But there is a bigger absence here. There is a hole where this game's heart should be. You can't see it at first. You have to really feel around its edges, stop looking for what is there, and start noticing what isn't. There's no sense of place. The world is lifeless. Character models and facial animations are present, but somehow absent. The characters are animated, but they certainly don't feel alive. Okay, so at this point, this is just kind of confusing to me because whatever she's saying, it's not something that you can verify, right? So, um, to quote, character models and facial animations are present but somehow absent. Somehow absent. The characters are animated, but they certainly don't feel alive. So, feel alive. So, I don't know what she's trying to say. The animations are there and the characters are animated, but they are somehow absent. They don't feel alive. So it's more of a feeling thing. And in that sense, I mean, is she trying to make an objective claim or a subjective claim, right? I don't know. Also, I should note that it took her to the ninth paragraph to actually talk anything about the game itself, which is a long time. Okay, let's go on. The story, beside being rooted in anti Semitism, a global cabal is trying to end slavery, but that's bad because the slaves like being slaves. Doesn't even feel compelling. It feels muddy, a minefield of unanswered questions and unexplained motivations. And speaking of which, the characters often flat out state their motivations, but they don't feel believable or even particularly coherent. It says it's Hogwarts, but it doesn't feel like Hogwarts. Even despite the controversy around Rowling herself, the game feels like it was put together to tap the eager nostalgia of fans without any attention to making it actually worth playing. Okay, so that part, I'm not sure I understand. Okay, first of all, supposedly the story is rooted in anti-Semitism because it is about a global cabal trying to end slavery, but in the game it's somehow bad because slaves like being slaves. First of all, I'm gonna have to double check that because that doesn't feel that Mm, that's raising some red flags for me. Not about the game, but about the author, because I don't know if that's an accurate depiction. I mean, can you imagine any, let's take that literally. Can you imagine any game actually going for that characterization? Or actually delivering the story in that way? That's obviously that way. And number two, so a global cabal, I don't, I don't know what she's trying to say. A global cabal is trying to end slavery, but that's bad because slaves like being slaves. So, what part of that is anti Semitism? Is it the fact that, like, no, it's not a fact. We haven't established that yet. Is it the idea that a global cabal exists? Is that the anti Semitism? Because it's like, I, because it's somehow some kind of some anti-Semitic trope or something, or is it the fact that, again, not a fact? Is it the idea that ending slavery is bad because the slaves like being slaves? I don't get it. All right, so it's not my job to make things clear for the author. The author's job is supposed to do that as a writer. So we'll come back to it and see if it gets any better. For that reason alone, I can't in good conscience recommend spending your money on it, combined with who this game helps and who it harms. Well, it's definitely not worth it unless your goal is to cause harm. Okay, first of all, this is really bad writing. Like the sentence structures are really confusing. Earlier on, we had sentence fragments. Things are just put together really poorly. It's hard to follow. For that reason alone, I can't in good conscience recommend spending your money on it. Combined with who this game helps and who it harms, well, that's not even just like it doesn't even have grammatical flow. Anyway, okay, so apparently it causes harm. It helps some people, it harms some people. And presumably both are bad because it helps the wrong people and harms the wrong people. Or it harms some people and I guess it's the wrong people. I don't know. This is a familiar problem though. it's one we see in the latest Wizarding World films as well. The new movies are bad. Okay, now it's a review about the latest movies? Anyway, continuing. Not just bad morally, but bad qualitatively. They're not fun to watch. They're spectacle, but it feels flat and kind of confusing. If you look closely, you can see the steady decline in quality as the new movies go on, with IP owners trying to wring any remaining resemblance of life from a franchise, all but poisoned by its owner, despite attempts to right the ship. Some reviews chalk it up to Rowling having more direct control and fewer people to tell her no or give her edits. The George Lucas problem. But Hogwarts Legacy makes me think that this isn't the case. Well, I mean, it is her creation. I can't imagine why it would be a bad thing for Rowling to have a full say in how things turn out. Now, if you don't like that, if you don't like her direction, her sort of art direction, let's say, then just walk away from it. Uh, but the claims that are being made here is stronger than that. That it's bad morally and bad qualitatively. And the bad qualitatively is somehow connected to J.K. Rowling having full control of this, but it doesn't really go into why. Okay, so let's go on. Standing together, there's direct correlation between how open Rowling becomes about her bigotry and how flat and heartless Wizarding World media becomes. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think it's because LGBTQIA plus people and genuine allies are some of the best creative minds in the world, and these films and this game were made largely without them. Okay, so that's kind of weird. So basically, it's identifying a certain group of people as being more creative, um, and because of the absence of those people in the team, that the game is suffering from it. That seems bigoted to me. Like, why don't you pick out individuals? It's because these, person A, B, C, D could have been involved, but people X, Y, Z were involved instead, and they're not as good as A, B, C, D based on their past work, past talent, their qualifications, what they have been able to produce in the past. Um, that would be a better approach. It still wouldn't be a good approach, by the way, but that would be a better approach. Not because Class A people are better than Class B people, and Class A people were not represented, and that's why it's bad. That's just a really stupid argument. That's a really bad argument. That's the type of argument of somebody who is used to just um, thinking of things in terms of just categories and not individual people and individual merits. So, anyway, let's continue on. The game industry is far queerer than most people realize. All the things you know and love about your favorite games were made by queer people. I don't just mean directors or executive producers. I mean the concept artists who bring your favorite games to life, the sound designers, the engineers, the technical artists, the composers, the musicians, the writers, the testers, the producers, the hands that make the best games in the world are queer. We're the life, the heartbeat, and the magic of great games. Okay, prove your claim. So, what is your evidence for that? So, what are the best games that have been produced so far in the world, and who have been behind them? And why is it because of their queerness, right? this seems like a really bad setup for a pretty bigoted way of looking at things, right? Okay, so there is a link, so maybe there's something in the link. Oh, it goes to Twitter. A tweet by Magna Jayant. The games industry is significantly queerer than the average population stat. Something about video games is clearly inherently queer. I don't know. Uh, what? Okay, so, all right. Remember back in school? I don't know. Maybe it's different now, but when I went to college, I was told that you had to have good sources, and when you by good sources, they definitely didn't mean um, even Wikipedia. They definitely didn't mean a tweet by a nobody, right? Um, I mean, maybe Magna Jayant is somebody super popular, but um, 4,000 following, 18.5K follow. Okay, so fairly popular, but does that mean that she has any authority in the subject matter at all? There's no argument, there's no citing. It's a bad source, right? So I'm just going to ignore that. In the yawning emptiness of the hearts of Hogwarts Legacy, I see the quiet solidarity of queer people and our allies in game development, the people who just said no when the job offers came their way, the ones who didn't answer the emails from Portkey Games, the ones who politely let their coworkers know that working on a Harry Potter game would be harmful to the trans community, the ones who listened and said, okay, yeah, thanks for letting me know, the people who put their morals and their loved ones above an easy paycheck. So I don't get that at all. Like, why would it be like, okay, why would it be morally bad to work on a Harry Potter game? Okay, well, it must be related to whatever bigotry that she's ascribing to J.K. Rowling earlier, which I have no idea. Like why? First of all I've heard J.K. Rowling say was essentially women are women and men are men, and that's it. Biologically, that's irrefutable, right? Um, Psychologically, there's more room for different takes, but not really. Um, I don't know. Anyway, all that is to say, so far, like, there's nothing about the game itself. Like, the only thing about the game itself so far is really vague um, observations. So, something about animations being there, but somehow it doesn't feel animated or something like that. Um, Art direction being lackluster, characters being one dimensional. Um, Lack of a John Williams score. Anyway, there are plenty of games that don't have a John Williams score, and they're awesome games. And if you're going to come at us with lack of a good art direction or whatever it is, then you better be able to back it up. So far, she hasn't backed it up with any kind of evidence at all. No screenshots, no comparisons, no reasons, particular reasons, no reference to particular parts of the game. So, here's the thing. So I kind of recently addressed it in relation to the whole um, Eliza Blue controversy as well, and Shane Cashman's article. When you write, the proper way to write when you write these things is just basically posit something, make a claim, support that claim with evidence and argument, right? Evidence that leads to your claim through a series of steps, which is the argument, right? But so far, I'm not seeing any of that. And when you don't have that, and all you have is just emotional words, somebody trying to just frame a thing in a certain way, just tapping into your emotion without any kind of evidence or argument at all, just it, all I can do is just ignore it. Like it's not even worth paying attention to, right? So literally, like the first eight, how many paragraphs is that now? So one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I the whole thing is just missing content about the game. Okay, so anyway, let's continue. Oh, there's only one more paragraph. It has 4 lines, and she still hasn't said anything about the game itself. All right, so I probably won't ever know your names, but you know who you are. I see you, and I appreciate you more than words can ever express. Thank you for making it easy for me to close the book on Hogwarts and Harry Potter. The magic is gone and won't ever return because without us, a wizarding world is as heartless as its creator. Okay, so this is a travesty of a game review article. This is somebody that hasn't even really played the game, or if they have, they just decided not to talk about it. So let's go back to the paragraph that um I can't even find it. So where where is a part that talks about the game? Okay, so maybe okay, so back to these 2 paragraphs. The longer I spent in this version of Hogwarts, the more I could feel a tangible absence. There's something definitely missing. I thought maybe it's a lackluster. Okay, lackluster art direction. So that's one thing that you mentioned. It's one-dimensional characters. Okay, store brand versions of the ones we know and love, or even the conspicuous lack of um, the lack of a John Williams score is such a ridiculous thing. I can't even address that. There's a hole where this game's heart should be. You can't see it at first. Well, when can you see it? Like if you can't see it at first, and if you can't explain when you eventually see it, and if it's maybe something that you only possibly see subjectively, then how are we supposed to take that and make something useful out of that? Okay, so no sense of place. The world is lifeless. Character models, if any, some absent. This is this is just nonsense. Okay, so the general criticism. So I mean, I'm really going out of my way to try to see what she's talking about. But apparently, there's some kind of a the art direction's not good. Characters are one-dimensional. Things are not quite as animated as it should be. Something like that. Well, let's take a look. Okay. Hogwarts Legacy gameplay. Let's take a look. Okay, so anytime, let's say in the past week. And we'll take a look at it. Hogwarts Legacy gameplay walkthrough part 1 full. Official gameplay. Alright. I tend to try to stay away from sources like IGN and GameSpot and things just because I don't know. I think individual smaller content creators, um, I think they have more passion for these games.
Over 7 million men trust Manscaped with trimming down there. And now...
And let's take a look at it.
Over 7 million men.
Actually, you know what? I thought I saw one from Jack.
Michael, I am offering you a chance to atone for what you have done.
Let's take a look at it.
What exactly are you asking me to do?
Okay.
Hello everyone and welcome to Hogwarts Legacy.
Sorry, Jack. I'm gonna have to mute you for a second there. All right. So let's take a look at some examples of animations, character models, general feel of the game. I don't know, it's looking pretty good to me. So by the way, Jack Frags, I know him from like the Battlefield series of games. He's done a whole bunch of different games. I highly recommend that you take a look at his channel. But anyway, it's just another way for me to say, Jack, please don't copyright strike me for showing your video on this video. I'm a nobody. All right. Okay, so like I said, I don't know the Harry Potter world. I don't know any of these characters, so you'll have to excuse me.
After you.
Now, being on this ride at Universal Studios,
take a look at basically how
pretty good.
Fleshed out the character
Keep your hands inside
interactions
the car
are,
if you don't wish to lose them.
their dialogue, their animations, and so far it's looking pretty good. Everything looks motion captured.
Oh my god.
Hundreds.
Yeah, that's a detailed, beautiful world
As we speak,
that they've
we're
crafted.
just beneath the main lobby. The vaults you see now are the newest. Are
Oh, that
private
was cool.
entrances to the bank common at Gringotts? They are most uncommon.
I can see
Only
that
one with
the idle
well-thought
animations
out
are all
board
motion
belts
captured as
could
well.
arrange for such a
The
service.
dialogue is fairly well done. Voice acting is well
You
done.
want to take a breath? A what? That waterfall washes away
Animations
all
of
enchantment.
effects.
It's a
The sparks are
security
great.
measure. Experience the thief's
Lighting looks
downfall
good in this
before, have you?
environment.
Heard of it? These are the lower vaults that we're passing now. How deep are we going? Vault number 12
Huge
was
world.
commissioned shortly after Gringotts was founded over 4 centuries
Just
ago.
this one
It resides
underground
in the
area
deepest
alone.
part of the bank.
Let's just fast forward a bit.
Rather different than it did a moment ago.
To ensure your success.
A casual ghost?
Oh, those models are
Here
very
you
good.
are.
That's very detailed models for character faces and objects.
only one book will
Yeah,
be needed
I
for
don't even
partnership,
know
Miss
what the
Dale.
author's
Thank you.
talking
Get
about.
into place now.
Like everything,
Accio, isn't it?
even facial motions or motion capture, everything
Yeah, Accio.
seems up and up.
Bastion.
Looks like there's a good inbuilt
Delicious.
tutorial.
Gingerbread.
The
Oh
actual
no.
world, the environment looks very detailed.
That cow is absolutely hench. I want one. This looks like
Beautiful
Kenneth Branagh's
environments.
character. Is it
I
Gilderoy
can see the
Lockhart or
light
something like that?
bloom effects coming through the window.
He's left me a little. Let's go.
Again, congratulations on your first Crossed Ones victory. Well,
Hell, no one.
I actually hate that.
For your auntie.
oh, hello.
Alright, sorry about that. Let's see.
He looks like a pirate.
Class, please welcome the newest rose in our garden. We do look forward to growing together.
Sort of lots of varied
I simply need
environments,
punches.
animated
Nature of this
characters.
class and the fact you're
He
on your
doesn't know.
I'm glad I was able to meet your expectations. I'm not going anywhere with you.
Okay, so there seems to be some combat here. No, good spell effects. Pretty decent combat animations.
I've cross-referenced the vessel's line.
With life moving so quickly, what if you could just
Yeah.
freeze? That's exactly what Ford is doing for you. Now,
All right,
when you
so
custom order a 2023 Edge,
well, to
your
summarize,
incentive
I
is
think it's
locked in.
absolutely
Start your journey at your local Ford
ridiculous
store
that
or
there would be a
Ford.ca.
game review like that. It's not a game review. There's no review. There's nothing specific about
Look,
the
cotton socks
game
are terrible.
presented.
Everyone knows it, and it seems like we get stuck in a cycle.
There's and I can't even tell if look, even the image is courtesy Warner Brothers games, right? Like there's nothing that indicates to me that the person has even uh, the writer and reviewer, supposedly Jaina, has even played the game. And there's no detail covered at all. Uh, all she did was throw shade at J.K. Rowling for being supposedly bigoted without any evidence. And whatever evidence she has, let me come back to this. So she's had some opinions. All these J.K. Rowling doubles down on what some critics call transfer. Yeah, you know what? I was there throughout the whole Twitter sort of back and forth when that kind of stuff happened. So we have two news articles.
This adds a new feature.
Somebody quoting J.K. Rowling about something about the Equality Act. Somebody else writing about. Okay, so whatever she's citing is just a bunch of hearsay in essence. If you wanna sort of take a look at it from a legal lens of things, like basically somebody said that somebody said this about somebody. A lot of which is about J.K. Rowling, but a lot of which is not even J.K. Rowling, just somebody else. So all this stuff that she's citing as garbage, as far as I can tell. That's not a proper way to construct an argument. Um, so, I mean, in the first place, it's not relevant, whatever it is that J.K. Rowling thinks or not. Even if it is, it's very poorly supported by whatever evidence that could be brought to bear. Like, I don't really see any direct evidence. And whatever she says about the game is very thin, and it seems to contradict what I'm seeing from actual gameplay footage. So, absolute trash. I can't even believe that Wired actually greenlit this article. Um, was it just auto-published without anybody reviewing it? Like, do they have any editors at all? Like, is there any kind of credibility to Wired? And I'm kind of curious what the other major publishers are going to do. Like, are they going to follow the same steps and basically go meta and just talk about things surrounding the game and not the game itself? Is it going to be up to individual content creators, like independent content creators on YouTube space and Twitch space, for them to review the game? In which case, magazines like Wired is just becoming more and more irrelevant. Like, why would you ever need to take a look at this? Um, it's almost getting to a point where the only reason you come to Wired is just to take a look at ads that you don't want to look at, right? So, um, absolute trash. I can't wait to see what they do with this article. I know if I was the editor of Wired, I would get this thing booted off the site immediately and get somebody else to actually play the game and review it into various categories with evidence, with screenshots, gameplay clips, whatever it is. Break it down by the story, combat mechanics, dialogue, whatever it is, right? Sound design, art direction, none of this vague crap without any kind of support. So, um, I haven't read any of Jaina's other review articles, but I think she should stick to whatever she normally reviews because games are clearly not her thing. So I'm going to leave it at that. Absolute trash article. Hope I don't have to see anything like that ever again.